Welcome to the 365 Daily Messages for You podcast,
And this is episode 35.
episode 35.
It's called Can You Can Have It All.
Ooh, that's a good one. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive. I think this is a question that we all kind of ask ourselves. At some point, can we really have it all? And we've got some really interesting ideas for you today to explore, and hopefully they'll unlock some of your potential and maybe get you out of that rut you're feeling.
Yeah, and, you know, as always, we like to draw on a collection of what we think is timeless wisdom,
hmm
and we're going to try and look at them with a modern lens to make them relevant, for your life today, to make them really practical and powerful secrets that you can use as you navigate the coming days for yourself, but also, for everybody else, too.
Right. Exactly. Because let's face it, sometimes, that phrase having it all can seem kind of like this impossible dream, right? Like it's almost setting us up to be disappointed.
Yeah, it's really easy to feel that way. Maybe you're dealing with some career challenges that just won't go away.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're looking for more fulfilling relationships. Or maybe you've got those goals, those personal goals you just can't seem to make time for. I think it's natural to wonder, how do we balance ambition and contentment? Or, where do we even begin when we hit those obstacles that just seem impossible to overcome?
Yeah, I think that's so relatable. And like when you feel stuck in a rut, like nothing's working. We had a listener write in about this actually. It was really interesting. She's a fitness center owner, and she's having some trouble with her staff. Like they're not meeting her expectations, and she told us she finds herself just avoiding these tough conversations with them. And even when she does try to talk to them, she ends up feeling like they're not listening, and she's just getting more and more frustrated. Even though she feels like her expectations are totally reasonable.
You know what's so interesting about that is how common that situation is. We all face this challenge, trying to navigate these moments of friction and just trying to get things done, whether it's at work, like our listener, maybe it's family stuff, maybe it's personal goals. How do we keep moving forward when we hit those bumps in the road?
Yeah. So let's really get into this, because when we keep coming up against the same challenges, those obstacles that just won't budge, it's easy to feel defeated. But our source material today, it offers a really interesting perspective. It suggests that maybe these difficulties, these are actually opportunities for us to grow and transform.
It really is a different way of looking at it.
Mhm.
Instead of seeing these challenges as some kind of punishment, the text actually presents them as an invitation to reach a new level in our development, whether that's our understanding, our abilities, or just our resilience. Think of it as a threshold you have to cross to reach where you're trying to go.
Right. And that makes a lot of sense, right? That feeling of hitting a wall where things just seem unclear or confusing, maybe even a little demotivating. What our source is saying is maybe those feelings are not a bad sign. Maybe they're actually telling you that you're about to have a breakthrough, that you're on the verge of something big.
Exactly. And the idea is that if that next level, that place where you're achieving more or understanding more, if it felt easy and familiar, then it wouldn't really be growth, would it? There has to be something unfamiliar, something to overcome.
Right. And our source has this really striking analogy to illustrate this point. It's about a donkey that falls into a pit, and people are trying to help. They start throwing dirt down into the pit. They're trying to bury the donkey, but the donkey has a different idea.
Yeah, the donkey is pretty clever. Instead of giving up, it uses what's given to it. It shakes off the dirt, and then here's the important part. It steps up onto the dirt.
Wow.
It takes something negative and literally uses it to rise up.
I love that image. And the idea is that this week, our listener can maybe try to visualize themselves doing the same thing with whatever challenge they're facing. Just shake off the negativity and see if there's a way to use that difficulty as something to step up onto.
It's really similar to how really successful people approach obstacles. No matter what field you look at, there's this common thread. When something difficult comes up, their first reaction isn't panic or self-doubt. It's more like they're engaged. Like they see the challenge as a puzzle to be solved, a path that might be tough, but it leads to something better.
I like that a lot. And what's really encouraging is that our source says this positive way of dealing with challenges, it's not some special talent you're born with. It's a level of awareness that we can all develop.
Absolutely. It's a skill you can learn. And when you really embrace challenges, when you make a choice to change your perspective, they stop being dead ends. They actually become the things that help you break through the barriers that are holding you back.
Okay, so how do we do this? What are some practical steps we can take? The source actually gives us some really good ideas here. The first step is all about that shift in mindset we've been talking about. You have to actively reframe how you see challenges. Instead of just assuming they're setbacks or some kind of cosmic punishment, try to see them for what they can be. They can be opportunities to learn. They can be those stepping stones you need on your journey. And the goal here is to actually feel excited about overcoming them.
Yeah, it's a small change, but it can make a huge difference. Because when you reframe it like that, it changes your emotional response. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by fear or anxiety, you might start to feel curious. You want to understand the challenge. You might even get excited about the growth that comes from overcoming it. You're choosing how you react.
So true. Okay, so now let's talk about something we all deal with every single day. All those things we have to do, all our obligations. How often do we find ourselves just going through the motions, doing things because we have to?
I think that's a really important area to focus on. We all have those tasks, those responsibilities that feel more like chores than anything else. They become routine. We're just doing them because we have to, not because we want to.
Right. And our source is encouraging us to take a close look at those obligations and try to bring more meaning to them, more awareness, maybe even a little enjoyment. The source recognizes that a lot of what we do is unavoidable. Bills have to be paid, we have to keep our commitments, but it's all about the attitude we bring to those tasks.
And that leads us to our second practical step. Identify those tasks, those responsibilities that you're mostly doing out of obligation. And for each one, ask yourself this question. How could I approach this with a sense of purpose, with care, with interest, maybe even with a little bit of excitement? It might seem strange, especially for the things we really dislike. But even a small change in perspective can make a difference in your energy and how you feel overall.
Yeah, because the source makes a really important point here. Doing things out of obligation all the time, it can actually drain you. It can make you feel resentful, weighed down, and that affects your well-being.
Yeah, no one wants to feel that way. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the good stuff, the blessings in our lives. The source suggests that these good things, they're not just meant for us to enjoy privately.
Right. It's saying that the universe or life itself, it wants us to share those good things. It wants us to create value for other people. It's not just about collecting positive experiences for ourselves.
And that brings us to the third step. For every blessing you have, every success you experience, ask yourself this. How can I use this to give back to others? How can I create something valuable for the world?
Mm.
There's so many ways to do this. Maybe it's an act of generosity. Maybe it's being kind to someone. Maybe it's mentoring someone who needs your help. Or maybe it's just using your skills and talents to help people around you.
It's also about looking inward. How can this blessing help me grow? Help me overcome my own limitations instead of just getting comfortable or maybe even afraid of losing what you have.
Now let's connect this to our dreams and goals. That better job, that more fulfilling relationship, whatever it is you're striving for. The source is asking us to really think about our motivations. Are we just focused on what we'll get out of it? Or can we see how achieving these things could have a ripple effect that goes beyond our own lives?
Right, like let's say you're working towards a better job. Don't just think about the money. Think about how that new position could allow you to make a bigger contribution to your field. Maybe you could mentor others or support causes you believe in.
And when it comes to relationships, a loving, supportive partner, they don't just enrich our lives. They make us more capable of giving back to the world. When we feel loved and supported, we have more energy and resources to share.
Yeah, I agree. And the source makes this interesting point. It says that the universe seems to align with people who have a broader vision, people who are thinking about the well-being of others. It's like when you put that positive energy out there, it comes back to you in unexpected ways.
And, if you're enjoying these daily messages and you want to go deeper into these ideas, maybe you're trying to create a more positive and fulfilling life,
Yeah.
you should really check out the book, 365 Daily Messages for You. The link is in the description below. It goes into all these concepts in a lot more detail.
Yeah, you'll love it. So we've talked about reframing challenges, finding purpose in our obligations, using our blessings to help others. Now let's talk about another really powerful tool. Our source calls it engaging with your imagination.
It might sound too simple, but it's really powerful. The source recommends setting aside time every day, maybe 30 minutes, maybe even an hour if you can spare it, to just think and visualize your future. Really connect with those deep goals, those things you truly desire.
I think it's really easy to lose sight of those things. Our lives are so busy, so demanding, endless to-do lists and distractions everywhere.
That's why it's so important to engage your imagination. The source says that when you do this regularly, you're basically reconnecting with your purpose, with what truly matters to you at your core. You're tapping into your inner compass. And you might be surprised by this, but you'd start to attract the opportunities and resources you need to make those dreams a reality.
So step number 4 is this. Set aside a specific time each day for what the source calls open eye meditation or just quiet contemplation. Create that space for yourself to dream big and really see your ideal future. And while you're doing this, ask yourself these questions. What do I really want? What kind of positive impact do I want to make? This practice helps you send those clear signals out to the universe about what you're truly aiming for.
And finally, the source talks about something really fundamental, the motivation behind your actions. What's really driving you? What's at the heart of everything you do?
Yeah, and it warns us about being driven by fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough in the eyes of other people, or that feeling like you constantly have to prove yourself, or maybe even being driven by old insecurities that you haven't quite let go of yet.
Fear can be a motivator at times, but the source says it's not a good foundation for long-term success or for real happiness. It leads to burnout anxiety, a lack of joy.
It really does. Instead, the source encourages us to act from a place of love. Love for what we do, love for the people we're serving, a real passion for what we're creating, and a commitment to making the world a better place.
And even when we have to do those things we don't really enjoy, the source suggests we try to change our thinking. Find some purpose or satisfaction in completing those tasks. Even the boring stuff can connect to a bigger sense of meaning.
And that brings us to our 5th and final step. Become really aware of why you're doing what you're doing. Take some time to reflect. Ask yourself, am I doing this out of fear or love? Is my intention coming from a place of lack or a place of abundance? We're trying to align our actions with positive intentions and a real desire to contribute something good.
So to sum it all up, we've talked about 5 key steps to unlock your potential to have it all. Embracing challenges as opportunities for growth. Changing your perspective on your obligations. Using your blessings to make a difference. Nurturing your imagination and connecting with your dreams. And making sure your actions come from love and a desire to give back, not fear or insecurity.
And as the source reminds us, this is not a finish line. It's a journey. It's a process of growth and transformation. And every step you take, no matter how small it might seem, it's bringing you closer to a more fulfilling and abundant life.
And don't forget to get your copy of 365 Daily Messages for You for even more daily inspiration and guidance as you go on this journey. You can find the link in the description. It's a great resource to keep these important ideas in mind every day.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive on the 365 Daily Messages for You podcast.